All right, now, so we're gone through importing the LAS file, and we've assigned curves, and we've started to try to create a well log synthetic, and we didn't have a P-Wave, so we created a custom curve for the P-Wave based on the sonic. And then we created our shale volume, which we'll use potentially throughout the application, which is shown over here, the yellow area being sand content and the gray area being a shale content. So now I'll zoom back out to look at the whole log. We've got our P-wave velocity, we've got our density, we've got a log of resistivity and SP gamma, neutron porosity, and shale volume shown. And now we want to go create a synthetic. So I'm going to go back to synthetics, and I'm going to hit 1D models, and it tells me I've got missing data for bulk density. So we're telling us that we want to create a synthetic from the top of the log to the bottom of the log, and we notice these pink ranges that we've pointed out before in these log curves where we're missing data that was not present in the LAS file. And we've also shown how we can add some simple edits, just some linear values and the like, to fill that gap in. But now we're going to use a method. We're going to calculate the density based on the P-wave and our shale volume information. So the way we do it, we'll go back over to our tree, and we see our bulk density curve. And we again remind us, got a yellow flag there. And if I hold the mouse over it, says this contains missing data. You need to fill the missing data. Okay? So we're going to right mouse on that and hit Edit Curve Data. Now that's going to pull up this edit window that we've gone through before. And I'm showing it for the bulk density. Now I'm going to zoom in around this area so you can see that where the actual data starts at about 3,500 feet, and the area above it we have no data. So the easiest way to create an edit zone is to click this icon up here. We could also go up here to this spreadsheet as we add multiple edit zones. But I'd like to tell it that we're going to add an edit zone. We notice the mouse changes to a crosshair, and we're going to drag over a region. We can get a little more detailed with that in a moment. Before we did this, we came in and we put an average or linear value in. Now we're going to have other methods, one that says calculate. We're going to click calculate. Now there may be several methods to calculate density based on data that you have available in your model. There's some that are within the system. In this case, the first one shown is anhydrite estimation, or dolomite, limestone, or sandstone estimations, and these others are custom ones that we'll get to in later videos. But we know our model is basically sandstone, so I'm going to click the sandstone estimate, and we're going to use formulas that regression type calculations based on the shale volume and the type of properties in the sand and shale, that and the P-wave to estimate what the density is. And when I hit accept, you see I now have data in here that looks a little different than just a straight line. And again, this data is a function of the formulas based on the sand shale content and the P-wave. And then it comes down here, and now I see this is in gray. And I notice, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so this is in gray, and this is estimated data. And now we can change this edit zone. So we're estimating it from, and it tells us at the top, 800 feet to 3,599 feet. I can grab the bottom of this estimate zone. If I drag it down, it's estimating data deeper and deeper, and it's going to overtake the data that came in the LAS file. It's not going to rewrite the LAS file. It's not going to replace the LAS file. It's just it would use this data in there. If I go up, the data below is what was current in the LAS file. And if I go here, I see this pink region because I've dragged this estimated zone up above to where the data was originally missing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more just so that we can see right around that area. And I see, oh, it's fine. I'm going to drag this back down until I connect up with that. Now you'll see where it connects it at the end. I've got this shift. Now times based on the data, it's estimated this day. I've got the trends based on the P-wave and the sand and shale. If I want to take what was just computed and shift it a bit to the right, I come up to the top here to my edit zone, and I see the method that was used. We're going to calculate it using the sandstone estimation. And I can shift the entire curve, and I hit these little chevrons. Now watch this data in the upper portion as I hit the shift. It's going to move so that you can see we'll get the trends that tie in a little better with the density. That helps avoid maybe a false reflection right at this point. And I can zoom it to show a little more. So now, great, we've got our density filled in. Oh, we have that same thing down at the bottom. So I zoom in down at the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add another zone, and I'll add it from here to here. And I can use the calculate method, and I'll do the sandstone estimate. Okay, and it creates it, and I've got a big shift, and I can shift this over. But I also notice if I wanted to, I could just drop a straight line over. But let's go ahead and shift this data back so that it trends nicely with that. And I can change the area that I'm computing this information as shown there. And I get this note down at the bottom, says no missing curve data. I'll zoom back out and I'll look at the whole thing. And now I have a nice continuous set of density data. And I come over here now on my main screen, we have this, and we could go create our synthetic. But before we do that, I want to point out one other aspect. As I mentioned, this density was calculated using the P-Wave velocity and the properties based on the shale volume and the sandstone and shale lithologies that we have. What would happen if we changed the shale volume? Well, we'll go to, so we can go to back to our shale volume curve, and I can edit that curve, and it'll pull up the same menu. Or I could go back and redefine how we did the shale volume. You remember these data points that we had, and I'll zoom in a little bit. And I'm just going to exaggerate it so if I'm at around 4,000 feet here. And well, let me go up a little higher so I make sure. If I come in here and I change this data so it's almost all shale, okay, and you can see how I'm doing this. Now this is not representative of what's really there, but this is, you know, just under 2,500 feet, and I'm going to say this is all shale predominantly. When I hit accept, okay, it reproduces the shale volume curve and then recalculates the density curve so that when you change one, the dependencies are managed and tracked by the system. I'm going to go back to that shale volume curve, and I'm going to move these points back to where I wanted them in the first place. And when we do that, we'll notice that density was recalculated. So all the dependencies and all the calculations that use are handled to the point where if I edited the sonic data, that would change the P-wave data. That would change the density data that was calculated in this area. So that's how we can estimate data using calculation techniques, and there's several within the system that are readily available as you go to edit the data. So now we have what we believe to be a model ready to go create some 1D synthetics. And if I click on synthetics and I hit set modeling curves, okay, I see I've got a P-wave and a bulk density curve now and a shale volume. I also notice that over here I no longer have this orange flag by bulk density. So if I go to synthetics and I go to 1D models, it will pop up with the 1D synthetics. Now we're going to save that for the next video and go from there.